What's up, YouTube? I'm Robert, and this is the Biker Channel, B1. Today, I'm here because I've been listening to people on YouTube complain about my Industry 9 hub for the last 6 months. And seeing as how I'm pretty much typically lazy, it's taken me 6 months to listen to you guys complain until I got to the point where, okay, I'm gonna try to do something about it. If you've watched my centerline brake rotor repair video, you'll know why my wheel is off my bike right now, because it just did that. And while I had it off, I was like, you know what? I did order that grease, and I am tired of hearing those guys complain about my hub. Let's go ahead and give that a shot. So let's see what happens. All right, I already have the wheel off the bike, and I have the brake rotor off because I'm swapping those out at the same time, but you don't need to do that to do what I'm about to do. What you do need is this tool, which it will allow you to remove your cassette. This one here has a little peg through it. Back when you had quick release, it kind of slid inside of there and made it a little more stable. There's also another model. You can use one like this. If you go to the store and you need to buy one that looks like this, it's the same thing. It just doesn't have a little stick on it. So stick that inside of there. You'll feel it kind of lock into the teeth from the inside of the cassette. Take your cassette tool, kind of put it on there, and what this does is give you leverage and keeps the cassette from spinning. And then you stick this on that piece that we just slid in there, and you just give it a little. Fucking A. Put this motherfucker on. Oh, that's tighter. Let's crank that down. This is interesting. I've never seen a driver that comes off this way. This is my first time taking the Eagle off. Apparently, it's a little different. Normally when you take your cassette off, there's a little cap on the top, and you take that cap off and then the cassette comes off afterwards. But the way that this hub is that kind of screwed right into the hub. So it's a little different, might be different than yours, but you'll be all right. Next step is to get this cap off. I don't have a soft jaw vise or anything like that, so you can just put a good thick amount of towel around it. I use these here. Just clamp that bad boy on there and then just pull that up. From what I saw online, as you do this more and more, there's an O-ring in there that gets a little looser. You'll be able to do it by hand later, but right now mine was super tight. So from there, supposedly, yep, and it's doing it, I can just pull this hub body right off. There's some really tiny springs that are in there, and pay attention to them, because you don't want to lose them. That right there is one of the teeth for the hubs, and it's typical for them to come out. The guy at I-9 told me that can happen. Just pay attention to it. Whew, that was tough. So it's not going to hurt any to go ahead and clean that up while I have it off. We got the free hub body off the hub. Now we need to go ahead and get these little paws out and put some lube on them. I don't want to contaminate the inside of this hub or anything like that, and my hands are kind of greasy from what I've been doing, so instead of washing my hands, I'm just going to go ahead and use some automotive rubber latex gloves. You can buy these at Home Depot. If I can find them on Amazon, which I'm sure they are, I'll throw a link up on there as well. While I'm putting these on, what I'm using for grease is this Demundo Tech Pro X free hub grease, this right here. And I actually called I-9 and asked them what they would recommend, and they recommended 2 different things. Their first recommendation is this Pro X free hub oil by Demundo Tech. Demandi, however the hell you want to say it. Demundo Tech, their free hub oil is what they recommended for just regular maintenance. They said if you have a bunch of pain in the ass YouTube subscribers that hate your hub and you want it to be more quiet than that, you can try the grease. So I'm going with the grease. This is the Pro X Free Hub Grease by Demundo Tech. I'm going to say Demundo. I like that better. I don't care if that's how it's actually said. These springs are super tiny. These springs are super tiny. Just so you can see a comparison, that is the bolt for one of my brake rotors. And that spring is just super tiny. And these are the pawls. And they go and they kind of like click into each part of the freewheel there. So, you know what they are. Give you an idea of the size. The guy at I-9, when I called him, said to go ahead and get some pics if you have some. That way it's easier to go ahead and get those springs back in there. I'll throw a link up to these Park ones that I bought. The one cool thing about them too is that they're magnetic on the end. So I would imagine if you're trying to pick up something, some little screw or something like that, then you can grab them like that. All right, back to what we're doing. So I'm thinking we want to take these out slowly so we don't lose that spring. Here we are, still trying to get these pieces out of there. So we're just pushing this in, kind of sliding it up, doing it slowly so that spring doesn't shoot all over the place. Little spring falls out, so does the pawl. Oh, almost shot that spring around. That would have been a bad idea. I'm going to spray a little bit of alcohol on this and just wipe off that area off. Same thing goes for the pawls. Just going to wipe them off. And these pawls aren't really dirty. They just got a little bit of older grease on them, so I figure if I'm going to put some new grease on, might as well clean the old stuff off. For those of you wondering why I don't have a beer, it's only 9:30 in the morning right now, and although it's tempting, just going to have to muscle through this project. I know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but I also haven't eaten breakfast yet, so that would probably make for a long day. Maybe a short one. I don't know how well that GoPro is focusing, but you know, a little look at this thing. This stuff, it looks like a friggin' loogie. It's he said just dip it in there. Oop. Oh, guess that worked out. Now it's freaking slippery as hell. Take the little spring. There's like a little tiny hole in the free hub there that you can sit the spring into. I'm gonna go with that. Sit it there. Can't go wrong here. This is what I'm going with. Get the pawl started, have the spring in the little hole, punch baby Jesus, because now it's stuck to the magnetic thing. I'm going to try to push the spring down. Nope, that didn't work. This is going to be a real pain in the ass. Alright, the moral of the next part of the story is make sure you pay attention to how those pawls go into the hub. So I had to go back and look at, thank God I took some Instagram pictures, and had to look and see which way they go back into the hub. So this little flat part is pointing out. This little flat part right here is pointing outwards. My methodology has been, now I have a plan. Oops, there's a shit ton of that on there. Drop that in. You have the little spring there started. Push the little pawl in. Use the Park needle to push the spring flat.
And once it's flat, then you can push the pawl the rest of the way down. So it's actually not too difficult. Next one. Oops. Oh shit, where'd that fucker go? Nope, thank God it was stuck to my finger. Woo-hoo-hoo. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to order some of these springs, so I have them for the next time when I do lose them. So you guys know, I'm not a mechanic, was never a mechanic. I grew up and I didn't have a lot of money, and so the only way I could ever fix my bike was to figure it out. So I think that kind of came along with me when I got older. I didn't always have a lot of money either, and it was like, you know, pay $100 to take this in to somebody and have them do it, or get on YouTube, watch videos like this one, and read what I can read, and go ahead and wing it, and you're gonna learn. So I think it's valuable to take those risks. You know, you do have to be honest with yourself. Am I a handy person? Am I not? You know, and I'm fairly mechanically inclined, so I'm willing to take the risk. This is called grease, but man, it is really light. So don't feel like you can just go ahead and throw any old grease in there. That was one of the things I was most concerned about before doing this. That's why I ended up calling I9, thanks to the advice of somebody on MTBR forums. I ended up calling them just because if you put it too thick of a grease in there, those pawls won't engage inside of your hub, and you have a problem. So that's not what you want to have. I9 told me to be light with the grease. I feel like it's so light, I'm not too concerned about it. This is what we're looking at right now. I'm gonna push that BMF in there, and we'll see what happens. Next step of the process is to slide this back onto the axle, which we're doing like that. Just slide that right in. And then we got to get those pawls inside of there. So that's gonna be interesting. I would imagine there's probably like a way better way to do this. I got an idea. I'm gonna take this piece of string and wrap it all the way around so it's hitting all those pawls. That way I can cinch them in, push this down, so and then I can pull the string back out. How about that? I always learn, work smarter, not harder. So that pops them right back in there. Right on. So basically, that's a wrap. Got the hub back on there. Slide the hubcap back on. Slid that on there. Didn't even need this. I was thinking I was gonna need this rubber mount, pop that little thing back on there as being a real tool, but I ended up just getting it to pop back on with my fingers. So that's all back together. I just need to put our cassette back on. This cassette is all stuck together. Some cassettes come apart in pieces, and you just have to look at these little teeth here to decide which way it goes back on. And it kind of basically only slides on one way, so you can't screw that up. Stick your little tool back in there. I usually just kind of spin that hand tight. I would imagine that there is some kind of torque rating to how you're supposed to do this. And I'll be honest with you, my experience is put it on tight, but not Gorilla tight. If you can decipher tight but not Gorilla tight, that's how tight it's supposed to be. So I just kind of get it on there good, but I don't want to wrench the shit out of it. That's basically the gist of it. All right, so we'll take this BMF out today and see if all you haters out there are stoked or not. Hopefully you are, and if not, oh well, I'm not buying a new hub. With that being said, it only takes a bike to be a biker. Get out and be one.